We're starting off high.
We can get
I
a
think
two fools agree on that one. Oh, by the way, look, we got the wide shot.
There was you had accountability. Now what I can
Now all you need is a podcast and a YouTube channel.
no, not even.
Where give me the money. Show me the money.
Apparently there's a Foolproof page.
Shoot the J. Shoot it. Yo, what up, fools? Welcome to another edition of Do Fools Agree. As always, I'm your host, Michael Reggie, here with my main man, Clifford Jordan Jennings.
Good evening.
That music cut early because I clicked the wrong button.
Yeah.
Shit.
You're a premature ejaculator.
Right? That's what it was. Actually, what I was trying to do, Clifford, was go into studio mode to make sure the video was set, and when I clicked out of studio mode, it flipped scenes.
Premature.
So.
You prematurely ejaculated the show.
Hey, sometimes you just want to get it going, baby.
That's not like getting it done.
Oh, that's true. That's not getting started, I guess. Oh, man. What is going on?
Nah, shit, Long week.
Yeah, me too.
Long week. I had to leave work to do more work most of the week. I'm tired. But what can you do?
Right. I mean,
what can you do?
It's that or what, right?
Or starve, I suppose.
Yeah, I don't know that there's other options. There should be, though.
That's why I thought we lived in this great nation.
Right? America.
For options.
Dreams and such.
Right. Dreams are dead.
Yeah, I guess.
It's been nightmares lately.
Right? I mean, that's always my line when somebody says, "How you doing?" I'm like, living the dream. Nightmares are dreams, too.
Listen. Shit crazy, but what can you do? Like you said, keep pushing and shit. At least that's what they tell you.
I mean, and every once in a while, something good comes along. So,
every once in a while.
All right, man. Well, you got any inadvertent thoughts to get us going tonight?
I do have an interesting one, I guess. It's not interesting. It's really kind of stupid, but...
My favorite. Here we go.
It got me wondering, right? Because I was talking with Blue earlier today, and I don't know how we got on the conversation. But I guess just to throw it out there, why are lemons and limes?
But oranges are oranges?
Not even oranges. I'm just thinking
How did we come to name these things?
I guess that's the question, because my whole thing is if you got apples, right? You could have a red apple, a Granny Smith apple, a golden apple.
And you're thinking
you know what I'm saying?
Yellow lemon or a yellow lemon versus a green lemon.
Right. I feel like the lemon and the lime are more closer in similarity and taste
than different types of apples are.
Right. And different kinds of grapes and shit like that. And it's but you would call these two different things.
Right.
But an apple has so many different
I guess would you mix in all the citrus into one then? With lemons, limes, oranges, grapefruits, would those all be in the same bucket? They'd have to be, right?
I mean, I feel like they would be in the same bucket, but I don't know.
Does it have to do with the DNA of the apple tree? The DNA of an apple tree is closer, or whatever I'm assuming it's still DNA, is equivalent, is closer in equivalency than the DNA of a lime or a lemon? I don't know.
Could you look that up? Is that look upable?
I don't know.
Or is that just a weird?
I think that's just a weird something. I mean, here's the flip side: is what would you call different types of apples if you were gonna go that route? The problem is that apples, like, they still look the same,
right?
Except for, I mean, outside of like green apples or Granny Smith apples, right? Like, they still look. All the other apples still look red. Like the Granny Smith apples are the minority of the apple family.
No, I don't think so. Because even you got like the golden color apples. Like,
there's golden apples.
Yeah.
I guess so. Yeah, there are. I wonder what other fruits would fall into this dilemma. Like, I feel like berries are distinct enough that like one berry doesn't look like another. Although I guess. Like, raspberries and blackberries kind of look the same.
Yeah.
But then you're back to the color thing. Like, you identify them by their color. I think we should just
Where did Raz come from? Is Raz a color?
I mean, is that
a different language?
I'm wondering if that's like one of the Romance languages for red.
I know it's not French or Spanish.
Right? So maybe not. I don't know. Why is that called a raspberry? I don't know. These are life's mysteries that we're pondering,
you know what I'm saying? Like blueberries,
May 20th.
What about a cherry? Where did that come from? Where are people coming up with these names is what I want to know.
I mean, here's the thing: is I don't know if you're allowed to question the name unless you have a better alternative.
Oh, I definitely don't have a better alternative. I don't. No. I would call them baby plums.
Baby plums?
Mm-hmm. Little cherries, baby plums. But then plum, where did that come from? The color? Is that the color?
I mean, yeah. I mean, is it? I don't know. Do they have?
Or did the color come from the fruit?
I feel like the color came from the fruit, not the other way around. I don't know. I don't know if this conversation is entertaining or if we're just being dumb.
I don't know either. I'm just trying to figure it out. But that comes back to what I think we were having a conversation about. What came first, the color or the fruit with the orange?
That's a great question. I'm going to say...
all leads back around full circle.
It does. Well, oranges are... Is that more?
Well, that was my inadvertent orange. What about yours?
Mine is... Let's see.
Oh, I did it up on your phone. No. First. I'm about to say he did research for this motherfucker.
No, actually, mine is. It's funny. It's kind of a weird tangential off of this.
Well, tange away.
So, bore witness to something this week around a dog and a mailman.
Uh-oh.
Yep, not great. Everybody's fine. It's whatever. Like, yes, there was a bite, but shit happens.
Right.
But it did have me wondering about stereotypes. So you always hear the stereotype about the big dog that's like biting after the mailman. What other stereotypes have you found to be true in your life? You're not playing that game?
You might get me in trouble.
All right, well, that was my inadvertent thought.
I know that one's true.
Oh, man.
Oh, shit. Fuck that.
No, you're not playing?
No, I can't play. I know you had some in your back pocket. Why don't you throw them
out? I'm not playing if you're not playing.
I'm about to say, throw them on out there.
I'm trying to think, I was looking through just, like, some of the news, just in general, and I am back on the trip about, and maybe I get these because I donated at one point, But I am so fucking over like the political text messaging right now around like donate money, do this, do that. Like, am I the only person that sees this shit? Because I think I donated twice leading up to the 2020 election or the 2016 election even. And I cannot get off of these mailing lists or these distribution lists. I am losing my fucking mind. Like, I am so fucking sick. You know what? And we've had this conversation in the past, especially when we first started up the podcast. I think it's important to vote. You know what? I'm about to no longer vote because I am sick of the fucking political text messages I get. Fucking every goddamn day, dude. Like,
I thought your vote was confidential.
And it's not even, well, it has nothing to do with the vote. Like I said, because it's probably because I did donate at one point. But these dumb motherfuckers. I get them too,
and I ain't giving these motherfuckers shit.
Dude, I do not give a fuck about who is running for the House of Representatives seat in Massachusetts. I don't care.
Damn, they hit you from different states.
Right, from different states. Like the ones in Ohio I can kind of deal with, even though, you know, outside of, I think, Tim Ryan, I could give two shits about any of our political candidates. I actually think Tim Ryan's kind of a good dude. But like the woman they've I think won the governorship primary for the Democrats, Nan Whaley, she's worthless. Like,
I don't know.
She was all right. Her political career has the highlight of being the mayor of fucking Dayton. I'm sorry, but no, Dayton. What good do you know comes out of Dayton?
Which, I mean, athletes, but
really,
where's
really,
she at
do
now?
they though? Do they though? Athletes come out of Huber Heights, about 30 miles outside of Dayton, 50 miles outside of Dayton.
Well, I mean, like, what is she doing now? Where did she?
She's running for governor
of here,
Ohio. Yeah.
You know, you get texts from Massachusetts. I didn't know if the bitch traveled. You know,
that's true. That's fair. That's fair. No.
Oh shit! I don't know none. Listen, I don't know anything about none of it.
So that's been my latest like frustration. Them and the motherfuckers that call me about, oh, we'd like to buy your house. Like, okay. And I fuck with them. I'm like, you know what? Yeah, you can. Give me a call. They call me. $300,000 cash. Briefcase. down by Kwanzaa Park.
Right. All small bills.
Small bills. Motherfucker, we going to the strip club.
I'll contact you for all the paperwork.
Right. I need you to go to a payphone downtown Columbus. Once there, wait for 10 minutes. You'll receive a phone call. After that phone call, you'll be directed to a new location with a new set of instructions.
Right.
At that point, you can fuck the hell off.
Man, nah. Listen, I don't know. I mean, they said that the selling your data was the new thing, because it's like, where the fuck are all these places getting my number? Half the time they don't be even for me. Sometimes they be for like people I know. I'm getting double hit.
Yeah. That's because you let too many people use your phone, dude. My favorite was, for a while, used to get phone calls for one particular one of your friends. Because without a doubt, he would always ask to use my phone for shit.
But I don't think that's how.
No, that's not how that kind of shit goes down. That's because somebody's giving out your number. Or, I mean, you've had the same number for a while, but usually what happens in those instances is that phone number was attached to somebody else at some point. So is it your burner or is it real?
I don't know, man. It's for
no comments.
Listen, But
if somebody pulled your data profile, all the data that's out there about you in the world, what is the most surprising thing that they will find out? Or alternative question, what do you think the picture is of you based on the data?
the picture of me?
Yeah. So think about all the little bits of data about you that are out there in the universe. What do you think? What do you if they were going to paint
Like
your picture as? What do you think they would paint your picture as? If they were like, we're going to pull this person's data set. What kind of person is this?
I don't know, but that motherfucker, it'd be abstract for painting. That's all I know. Listen, it'd be an abstract motherfucking painting. It'd be a lot of splashes and violent motions with the paintbrush across the canvas.
I think mine would probably show that I'm 400 pounds and live in my mom's basement, but
I see what you're saying.
That's what I mean, like based on the data set about you. Like the question that I see on the dating apps or the prompts that I see on the dating apps, it's always like, based on the targeted ads I get, you would think X about me.
I don't know. That's tough. You'd probably think I'm a redneck.
Yeah.
Got a lot of guns and got a lot of like gun videos, like YouTube. Like, I guess that's not necessarily redneckish, but it's
I mean, the number of conspiracy websites you visit on top of, not websites, but like YouTube videos and the gun stuff, you might be right. They might have you painted as, a rural Ohio white guy.
They may just.
Although, I think the World Star might throw that one off a little bit. It might redirect the algorithm.
They call it World Star. That's worldwide, baby.
Is it though?
We get that down in the holler as well.
That's the black YouTube. Or the black TikTok. I don't know which.
Something like it. That is something like right.
Oh, man.
That's something like right.
All right, well, that's the inadvertent thoughts I had. This is going to be, I think this might end up being a quick episode. I don't know. I didn't have much to come in with. It's been a fucking week, work-wise, and I know we're not allowed to talk about work anymore, so let's see. I mean, the problem is the stuff that I've been watching, I know you're not into. Like, This Is Us finally wrapped up, so I watched the series finale of that. And as emotionally damaging as that show was, kind of in its entirety, the series finale was not. It was kind of sweet.
It was bland.
Yeah.
Oh, it wrapped
kind
up
of sweet.
well.
Yeah, they wrapped it up well. You know what? That's something, and I think we may have talked about that in the past, but like series or shows that like wrapped up well. Like there's not a ton of them that actually do. Like a lot of good shows that go on like long, past 4 or 5 seasons. Very few have a satisfying ending. Like, I could probably name, I don't know, maybe half a dozen. Like, I feel like, and I think we actually talked about it in, like, maybe in the context of, like, Cheers, where they turn off the lights to the bar. Mm-hmm. Like, that's a good one.
Would you do that 70s show?
I'm trying to remember if I saw the series finale for that 70s show.
Where didn't they recap everything in the basement?
Probably. I mean, that seems like that would be on target. I don't know. Does a recap show count, though? I mean, that was the problem with, like, that's usually the problem with, like, HBO shows. Like, I feel like HBO shows, I never feel like there's a satisfying ending to those shows.
I'm trying to remember, though. There wasn't no recaps at the end of Cheers, that season finale of Cheers.
I mean, there might have been. but just the way that episode ended, I guess the last scene, the final scene was, satisfying for what it was. Did you ever, and this may be like one that you used to watch with your grandma, I can't remember, Quantum Leap?
No.
Quantum Leap was my jam. That was one that I remember watching with my dad. And
yeah, no.
That one had a similar, or that one, like, so he spent the whole premise of the show is that he leaps into other people in the past and basically changes the course of history.
Right.
And usually for the better, like that kind of stuff. The final episode, though, he leaps into kind of like this nexus, almost like
in
the afterlife. And he talks to God. God's the bartender at this bar and this Nexus bar, and God basically says, "You're not done with your work yet," and he kind of sends him back, and like that's how the show ends. Like something like that. Like as long as it's in line with what the show was about, I think is solid. I'm trying to remember. I feel like Weeds had a good ending, but I'm blanking on kind of how that show ended. Like versus The Sopranos and the whole fade to black thing, which pissed everybody off.
I don't remember how Weeds ended, to be honest.
That's one.
And I still couldn't tell you about Sons of Anarchy.
No. Oh, yeah. Because you're that's right. You don't like to watch the show end. I hear you.
I don't, man. I hated that. What was that last American Pie?
Like American Wedding.
Was it Reunion or something?
Or it might have been Reunion, yeah.
Yeah, that one. Even that one was like, I don't like seeing shit like that. No. Like it's just over, huh? It's
right. Just over. It's just done.
Yeah, nah. So I still ain't snubbed. Still to this day ain't seen the end of Sons of Anarchy. But I'm like that with most of the shit. Remember I said that in the past. I'm like that with most of the shit.
Yeah, you talked about that with The Witcher too. Like,
I don't like watching the last one until I know something else is coming.
Right. I get that.
I want to keep that in my back pocket. You know what I'm saying? I'd rather hold on to it than finish it.
Yeah. These are ones that you may not like agree with or may not have seen or probably haven't seen, but like I feel like all of the major Star Trek shows actually all have had good endings. Like the final ending of Next Generation, that one's good. Final ending of Deep Space Nine is good. The ending of Voyager was kind of but at least it wrapped everything up. Like I feel like it almost became cliche to like leave things open-ended. Like watching the final season of Ozark. Ozark does not close all the storylines.
Oh, that was the last season?
Yep.
See, I hate that. Now, I don't mind you like dropping off and me wondering what happens next, but you better tie that web back in together.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I better have a good idea or understanding of what was going to happen to this character, as well as I don't like it when shit just dies off.
Yeah. And that's like, kind of the way
stop talking about him.
That's kind of the way that like Ozark felt. Like they wrapped it up a little bit, but like there was no conclusion is kind of the way I would say it. Like the show's a good show, but like the ending was enough to kind of taint it for me. Like
I think that ties into Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'm like they could have like wrapped it all up, and I thought they were moving towards it, and they didn't.
I feel like that goes back to what we were talking about, where it's a lack of creativity.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? A lack of imagination, to where you don't. The exact reason why the entertainment industry is holding on to Marvel so tight, right? Because you have a encyclopedia of comic books. You know what I'm saying? Like those movies touch on specific instances in a comic book, but you can't wrap the whole book up in a single movie. So it's easy to go to Marvel for entertainment. But when it comes to original movies, you rarely see them.
Yeah.
You rarely see them anymore. So it's not.
Again, I don't know. I go back and forth with that because I do think that there is. To your point though, I think that the major blockbusters and the major movie releases, I agree with you. But I think that there are original stories, they just don't get the attention anymore.
Yeah, no, stories are different, right? Because they can be portrayed in shorts, independent movies, shit that I'm not catching. Yeah. But when I think of commercial media, I don't see any originality. It's all let me recreate, let me build off of a story that was already told.
See, all right, here's where I'm not sure. I think you and I have talked about this before, but I don't know. Like, I'm actually okay with someone has established expansion. A world, let me tell my own story in that world, in that universe. And I wonder if it's because of like the kind of shit that I like to do, like the role playing games when it comes to video games, or the even playing like D&D. Like the campaign that I'm delivering now sits in the world that my Uncle Dan built in our first campaign.
Okay.
So like it takes place, I don't know, I think we said 500 years later in a different part of the physical world, but it's still the same universe. So we still have the same like pantheon of gods. The celestial kind of view is still the same, like things like that. Like that's where I think actually Star Wars has failed people up until like the TV shows, was that they didn't really expand the world at all. They went back and retread shit that had already been done. And that's where like the Marvel stuff is interesting from that standpoint too, because it goes back to the whole idea of the requel, right? Like, I'm okay if you want to give us like a cameo from some original characters from something in the 80s, but you're telling a new story. It just happens to be set in the same world.
Right.
Because I mean, think about it, like
I just feel like it's a bunt.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, you're just trying to get on base.
Yeah, you're not swinging for the fences.
Right. You're just trying to get your money that you projected or told your investors you'd receive so you can put a little in your pocket. Yep. But nobody is really trying to go for it anymore like back in the day.
What do you think was the last innovative movie you remember? The last one that like kind of drew you to? Or drew to you?
I'm trying to think of ones that didn't originate from a book.
Yeah. Like the one that sticks in my mind, even though I wasn't a huge fan of it, was Arrival. About like the aliens show up and the alien, but it's there's like a time travel element to it, and the aliens like don't look like anything you've ever seen before. Like
I don't even think I've watched that.
It's good. It's a little.
That has Jodie Foster in it.
I can't remember. I know it's a Denis Villeneuve. You might be right. But like that's one that sticks out to me. I'm trying to think of anything else over the last 5-10 years. Obviously, with like the last 2 or 3 years, it feels the only thing we've gotten are the big blockbuster movies or the biopics or.
Like I don't think I mean I guess you kind of gotta give it to the Matrix.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean that's definitely one from our past. I mean, Avatar kind of at that point too. Like
wasn't that a book too?
I don't think so, but maybe.
I thought that was a book. That's why I didn't name that one. But if it wasn't, then yeah, I would definitely give it to Avatar over Matrix just based off of pure timeline.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't see that anymore. But probably because I think that both of those movies took more than a sober mind. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like you kind of had to dive deep to get that sort of story out.
To bring the simulation theory to the pop culture
zeitgeist. You gotta dive deep, right? And I don't think that you can always do that with a sober mind. Sometimes you gotta get in there. You know what I mean? And I'm pretty sure they were taking some shit that, I don't know, allegedly, but I'm pretty sure that there is some hallucinogens involved.
It's funny, I got into that discussion with somebody this week about our previous conversations on the barriers that we put up compared to like when we were more in tune with like ourselves and nature.
Right.
Talked about how hallucinogens in particular, like, do they break down the walls and allow you to see things that are there that you otherwise can't? Or do they, allow you to... I'll use this just because I watched Doctor Strange last weekend, like, traverse the multiverse. Like... They allow you to glimpse into other realities, other parallel universes.
Right. Like, bring them closer type shit. I don't know. Listen, I don't know.
That shit was wild, by the way. Multiverse of Madness, like...
I don't know anything about it.
It was extra.
And I would have to see the first one before
Here's the thing, is I don't think you do.
Really?
Like,
it doesn't have any chronological...
I mean, it does, but, like, they explain things as they go, too. So it's like they do enough to recap kind of along the way. Like, as long as you've seen the Avengers movies, you'd be fine.
Okay.
But it was extra. Like, it's very much a Sam Raimi movie. It's very much... Like, I like the fact that they did...
Sam Raimi.
Like, I like that they did something different with it, but it was extra. Like... I like the Marvel movies, and that one I was kind of like, Now, I want to see it again to see if, like, maybe it was just too much the first time, and I have to go back and rewatch it, but I honestly don't know that I could make it through it again.
How long is it?
I mean, that's the thing, is it's like an hour and 45 minutes. It's not long.
Oh, it's not too long. Because you know me, like them Avengers joints, I didn't even get hip to them till last year or so, because them is long, and
they're almost 3 hours. Yeah,
I have to commit to watching like shit I don't normally get into. But the thing is, I will say is, as much as I'm ragging on folks for not being original, the shit does hold my attention, right?
Yeah.
At least when it comes to the superhero shit. But I think those are easy grabs anyway.
Did you end up, or have you ended up watching The Batman on HBO Max?
What is it, like a new one or something?
Yeah, it's the one that just came out in March.
I don't think so.
So you might end up liking that one. That one's a little more of like a detective story than what I would call the than I would call it like a superhero movie.
Right. Yeah, I like the mystery shit.
Yeah, I think that one you'd be... Did you ever play the Batman Telltale game?
No.
Then you might like it more than I did. The problem I had was that, like, I knew where it was going because it's very comparable to the story that they told in the Telltale game.
Nah, I don't know. I don't know anything about that. I know the only Telltale game that I've ever played was the Walking Dead joint, but that was like the first one they came out with, right?
Yeah, it was. Those games were like, when we were talking about like innovative storytelling last week, like those are the games that come to mind because they're so basic, but like they build in.
They're interesting though.
They are like the gameplay's basic, but the storytelling and the dynamic nature of it. Now, they fall into the trap of like your decisions don't really matter at some points. Like there are times where you can make a choice and it's basically overridden anyways.
Right.
But, I mean, but at the same time, that's life. Like you can make a choice to do something, and it may still work out against the way you thought it would.
But the thing about it is, you don't. Well, can't even really say that. I was about to say you don't pay for life, right?
Right.
You pay for life in the long run and while you're playing it. But when you expect to play something for entertainment, you want it. I want what you advertise.
Yeah. No,
I don't want you to give it to me until you got lazy at the end and decided to only make 2 options instead of the 4 that I started the game out with.
Or if I say
feel cheated.
Or if I say like I want to save this character, it can't always result in it saving the other character. That's the one that pisses me off, because that's a trope that I see in video games all the time that have like a decision element where you can make. And I understand it goes back to what I just said around like sometimes you can make a choice and it could be the wrong choice and it doesn't actually turn out the way you think it does. But like I feel like it's almost become like just a trope, meaning it's just something that you come to expect from video games now because it's at a point where like everybody does it.
Well, say more on what like saving over your like what you mean exactly.
So you have a choice to save 2 characters. You choose the option that shows that you'll save this character, and instead it's this character that you save.
Right. I see what you're saying.
Like if I say I'm going to send this character to their death, and I know I'm sending them on a suicide mission over this one, I better not end up with this one, or I better not end up with the one I sent on the suicide mission.
Right. I'm following now.
All right, hey, we do have a guest in the Zoom. We want to go ahead and bring him in.
Bring him on.
Give him a second to pop in here, start his video, all that good stuff. Caller, you're on the air.
What up?
What's going on?
How you doing?
Doing all right. Just learning from y'all on like this whole like trove and like just trying to pick your brain. Really, I'm like, what the fuck? This is.
Listen, I'm still picking my own brain, and I don't know if I ever get to the bottom.
I'm like, he's sending somebody on a suicide mission, and I'm like, okay, all right, let's see where this is going.
Right. So, what's going on, Colin? Colin and I coached together previously. I actually played ball with his older brother way back when.
Yeah. I just wanted to come in here on a little soapbox. It's the end of the school year, and I don't know, man. I don't know what we're doing to these kids or what, because we're not doing something right.
No, we're not doing something right.
In all sorts of pissed off and like, dude, where I'm at, we have 50 minutes or 60 minutes of fucking fitness, and that should be fun, okay? And so I try and make it fun, but I don't know, man. Like, teachers really, I didn't realize. Look, this is a good disclaimer. I didn't get good grades. I didn't study. I didn't do homework. But one thing that I really enjoyed was sports and physical education. So that was my outlet. And so that's why I went to school. And through this, I got great professors who they were. But all this time, I always put like teachers like way up here. Like, when really, like, in the game, man, it's, to be honest, it's just good people.
Yeah.
And they like, it's, I don't know, like, you think these are smart people, straight edge people, and then you get in there.
Oh no! See, here's the deal. Every teacher I've ever known outside of being my teacher has something going on. I don't care which substance it is, whatever. Like, They like to kick back.
Well, you have to, man, with the amount of like stress.
Right.
Yeah.
Like,
true.
dude, like that's what is so underlying with these teachers. They are really taking on a lot with these students because I don't know, man. Like Mike, like you and I went to the same high school. Like it's nuts on how much I fall back on that, and I didn't do well in there. But it's the principles of
Right.
like
Just how to get
hey,
work
man,
done. Like really, that's all that school teaches us is like you learn how to do work, and that's about it. And it's the perseverance of it and all that too. But like, it's how you do work.
See, at St. Charles, I felt a community and a camaraderie, and I think that's so unique. And that's why I went back to teaching and went back to coaching. And I think that's why I still believe our staff in 2015 was like we were there ready to take that shit to the next level, man. Like that, I fall back so much on that year, how much I learned from you, how much I learned from Jeff, you know, Dr. Pharion, like that guy. That whole entire, we prepped and that really catapulted me. And so like the biggest thing I want to come on here is just talk about like how important we need people like y'all to get back into like teaching. And just because even like Cliff, dude, I watched this podcast maybe like half a dozen times or something. Like it's funny. It's a good, unique way of thinking, man. You're very like countered like, hey man, so have we ever thought about it this way?
Yeah. I'm one of those guys that like I don't mind my child asking me why. Because we really need to know why, as opposed to like when you grew up and why, because I said so.
Right.
Like I get it, be obedient, but at the same time, even a child can recognize a discomfort and like, well, why this seems weird to me? Why? And if I can explain it to you, then you understand better.
Right.
But to just shut a child down in their tracks is kind of like that breeds rebellion.
Oh, absolutely. And even Sam talked about that when she was on, when they were on, because they're a teacher as well. And what they talked about was they use the royal we when they're delivering a message that they know they don't agree with when they're giving it to the class, but then when they're giving a message they do agree with, they'll say I, right? Like, okay. Kids pick up on that shit. They do. And if they can tell that, like, you don't agree with something, you're actually treating them with a lot more respect if you're explaining, or if you give them that indication, like, yo, I'm just doing my job here. This is not one that I agree with, but, you know, we all have to do shit we don't want to do sometimes. And unfortunately, that's a life lesson, too. Like, try to have that conversation with my son.
You got to check your convictions sometimes because they do lead you astray.
Right.
That can fuck with your compass.
That's where I think I'm at that flux right now because I'm all about this mantra like HLA, like hang loose and adapt. And these kids, so where I'm at, just to give you a little synopsis of like the charter school that I'm at. So I'm at a charter school. We have 3 fitness teachers, and they're only supposed to teach 3 things: tennis, soccer, and like martial arts. Okay. So I'm the tennis instructor.
Odd. That's odd.
It's super odd, man. But you know what, man? I'm just glad to be getting paid, man. Like,
right.
Like at the end of the day, I'm like, shoot, man, this is what I went to school for.
I'm with you.
Like,
get that money if they go give it to you.
I mean, it's not much, but then you're like, you think that you're like, I hate to say this, I've suffered, like, I'm right now in heavy therapy. I'm heavy into journaling. Like, I can't tell you, oh man, like I started journaling April 6th, 15th. And what is it, May 20th? And you look at like the progression you make and you realize how overwhelming words and paper can be.
Right.
It's like, man, all I need to do is just take this day by day. And that's what people tell you, but it's so hard to actually do that.
Well, and I think some of that comes back to like, until you get to a certain age, I think there's this myth that like the people that are older than you have it figured out. And then as you get older, you start understanding that like they don't know anything more than I do.
Yeah,
it's just
totally.
how you handle it and how you roll with it. Like at the end of the day, that's what it is. It's and you know, as much as I cannot stand Urban Meyer, like his whole preach about what is it? Luck is when preparation meets opportunity. Right. And I think that's something that like is applicable to life in general. Like if you have the skills to handle adversity, and that's one of the things that like has always been big to me in coaching. It's if I can teach a kid how to overcome that adversity or at least give him tools to do so, like he's going to be better off in life. And that's one of the reasons why like personally I got into coaching football was that football, and Cliff knows this, helped me through a very difficult period of my life. My first year of football was the year after my dad passed. And for me, it was not only that outlet, but it was also that learning something new and understanding that I could be in a position where I could impose my will. And honestly, for me, it was a confidence thing. Like, up until that point, up until, you know, 6th grade football or whatever, I didn't have confidence. I really didn't. I was the fat, pudgy kid. I was a little dorky. I had some cool friends. But football transformed me.
That's pretty unique, man. That's a good, because like that makes, man, that's like, because Brian, I see a lot of similarity with my older brother that he played with, and that is very like, that's how Brian dealt with kind of my mom, like my dad's second marriage in a sense. Like he could control that physicality that he wanted. And so when he was on the fucking football field, he was not the biggest guy, but
no, but
like
he
you're
was
saying,
he was
dude, you could impose your will, dude. Like you could, you know, like you get it, man. And that's what you're like, man, this is a great fucking sport. Like this is where I got my life lesson. And to expand off that, if you can coach football, and this might be too much to say, but I'm going to say it anyway. If you can coach football, you can coach any sport because of the process and preparation.
Oh, I believe that.
Like Reggie, I've never seen anybody prep as hard as you, even to this day on these staffs where you like somehow in like maybe 4 hours, you whipped up just a little like practice script.
My PowerPoint, my practice
script.
Well,
you know shorthand why that is. That's because these aren't just pieces. In every other sport, the kids are just pieces on a field or pieces on a court. But this can cost the kid their life if you don't prepare for what's coming, or prepare that child for what's coming. So there's higher stakes when it comes to the sport of football as opposed to a soccer match or a basketball game.
Football is probably the only sport. I'm not going to say the only sport, but what I would say is football is the one sport where it's the biggest team sport there is, period. Like, you can have a superstar in soccer and basketball, and even in baseball to some extent, you can have your heavy hitter that you can lean on. Like, football, especially once you get past, like, a certain age group, like, maybe a little bit in high school, you can have that kid that dominates, that just can't be touched on the field. But, like, even that kid, if
you need the team to get that.
Right. If he's not blocked for, it doesn't matter. So, like, it's building that level of trust. And so I appreciate what you're saying on that front, because the heart of any team and any team sport and being successful in any team sport is you need to be able to trust the person next to you.
Right.
Yeah.
You don't play hard if you don't.
Right.
And that's where this is why I want to get on here, to get on like how I teach. So this is kind of terrible. Like you're saying, like, you know, you gotta be able to, like, the kids have to be able to read between the lines on your policy, right? Like, I don't agree with the tennis policy, right, Reggie? So I'm not going to completely teach tennis. However, I'm not going to not teach tennis. Right. That's how I was hired to do. But I'm going to think smarter and harder. So, like, for example, I applied this thing that we call, there's two philosophies I use a lot of. Two of them I learned in college, and it's adventure-based learning. So you gotta put again, what do we do with players? Sometimes in drills, we put them in conflict. We put them in positions that we know we're going to challenge them. It's not too uncomfortable to where they fail so much to where they quit, but it's a point where like, all right, dude, if you just apply this technique or this cue or this little, then you're going to be successful, right? So you apply that to life. You apply that to like simple games, like as again, adventure-based learning, as simple as you start off with anytime you want to talk to somebody or like like you said, anytime that you want to trust somebody or problem solve, what's the first thing you got to learn? How to communicate with them.
Yep.
So there's so many different ways, right? You got nonverbal and verbal. And I guess there's just like two main, there's other ones, that I haven't, that SPED education SPED is just really involved with. And so going off of that, you're like, okay, so how are we going to communicate with some of these kids? Yep. What are some communication games? So simple stuff is like that telephone game, right? What gets lost in the message, and how hard is that to teach? Well, it's a very simple game. So the game in itself but the lesson behind it. And that's where you're like, okay, you got to run these games. So you got to start with communication. And this is where we always, in education, we want to in coaching too, we want to speed it on through. That's why camp is so important, right? We got to get these guys to learn the playbook, right?
Yep.
But in school, it's so much more important because these are the future of our fucking kids.
Right.
These are but people take it so lightly. Like they just see it as gym class, but this is the only class that you can touch and you can yell as high as you want because you're doing a sport, you're doing an activity.
Yeah.
What do you do when that motherfucker in front of you, you tag him in sharks and minnows, and he doesn't become a shark? What do you do? Are you going to not be a shark? Are you going to fight him? What are you going to do? Just like in society. If somebody breaks into your car, are you going to bring it into somebody else's car? I know that's extreme.
Right.
But at the same time, it's like, just because this dude broke the rule, are you going to break the rule? And they're like, well, shouldn't you have caught him? Shouldn't you and it's like, well, it's not always going to be like that.
Right.
It's not always like, I'm sorry, not sorry. So how are you going to, like Reggie said, overcome that? How are you going to change that? So you got to communicate with one another, right? What makes you tick, Cliff? Like, you're a motherfucker, dude. I hate you. I think you're so fucking dumb. Like, so not to like piss you off, but you find out in certain ways how to make somebody click. So maybe you pair up two people that aren't the best of friends, but they're learning how to like talk to one another.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like communication is something that's important no matter what you're doing. But,
so you learn how to communicate. Then you got to cooperate. So you're like, okay, I know what makes this fucker tick. So I'm not going to say it. Like to make this team work, I know that if I say this guy's going to be upset and that's not going to make it for a good, so you got to teach teamwork games. Like there's a certain helium stick. So you stick a stick, there's 6 people and they got to learn how to lower the stick together. But most of the people they lift it up. These are very simple games, elementary games. That's why we should be doing it in our elementary schools, but we're not. And
what I'm gathering from the entire conversation, though, is that you care. You care at the end of the day. That's the reason why you said you would like to have people like Mike and Jeff Pharion get back into coaching and doing all that, because you recognize other people that care. But on a mass spectrum, at the end of the day, we don't pay our teachers enough to care, because that's the only job where you have to complete your job and or compartmentalize these children's lives separately from your curriculum, or accept their lives with your curriculum, and that they don't pay you for.
No, and I think that's something that, we've was married to a teacher for 7 years, and the amount of work that like they bring home and the amount of stress that they're put on unnecessarily from a just what's expected from whether it's a district standpoint or a Department of Education standpoint, like the shit doesn't make sense. And it's one of the few places where you're not paid what you're worth. And some of that's because of unions and the way pay structures work, but like I almost think that they from a pay perspective, it should almost go private. And I know that that's dangerous because you end up with disparity, right? You have schools that can afford good teachers and you have schools that can't, and you know where the schools that can't are going to sit. They're going to sit in the poor neighborhoods. They're going to sit in the bad socioeconomic side. But like teachers need to be better compensated.
That's the flat line.
We as a society have decided that this job where the only way that you can make any kind of money is to go and get a master's degree isn't worth paying somebody to go get a master's degree. Like,
think about it deeper, though. Think about it deeper, right? They'll pay doctors to fix a wound,
right?
But they won't pay a teacher to prevent the wound from happening.
Yep, completely agree. Completely agree.
Okay, so we know this. We get into it still. I still get into it. I don't do like again. You're not saying anything that we don't already know.
Right.
But at the end of the day, this is a passion, right? Like,
right.
So you gotta have a passion.
But there's a point where I don't care how fucking passionate you are about something. If you are constantly beat down because of things that are unrelated to that passion, eventually it wears down your passion for it. And honestly, that's why you see teachers that burn out in like that 5 to 10 year range all the time, where they're just like, you know what, I'm not doing this anymore. Rarely
you get to a point where not to make it too personal to myself, or you get to a point in a situation where you realize you can't change things.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, this is the way it is. It can't be changed. And you're like, but it has to be. Like, for the better of everyone, it has to be. But you can't do it. And then you burn out that way too. Like, for what then am I doing this for?
Right.
So wouldn't you need people to like fill up your bucket? So you're expending so much out of your own bucket, right? So you need a strong support system, because that's life, dude. Life in general is hard. And that's why you need teammates.
Right.
That's why, like, there are people who will take the pay cut for this stuff, because guess what?
Right.
That's being a team player.
Yeah.
Now, in some societies, not in America, teachers are pretty well compensated.
Yeah.
But like that, I get what you're saying. Get burnt out, dude. I'm only in year 2, and I'm like, fudge, man. Like,
you gotta keep pushing. The show must go on, though.
But it's at the end of the day, though, it's like, dude, I love the grind. Like, it's the process. Like, it's all about the coaching.
There is something to be said about helping a kid or helping an athlete reach their potential. Like, that's unfortunately that's what keeps me in coaching, because I've thought about walking away probably 3 out of the last 4 years, and it's always about like, all right, I got to be here for X, Y, and Z in this next class, and then I'm out. And then by the time that season's done, it's like, oh, fuck, I got to stay here for ABC now.
I think that's why I like the individual sports.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because even you as a coach, you clearly see the mold.
Right.
You know, football, you go through so much. You go through weight room. You go through this drill, that drill. You with so many different coaches that you don't know what that child's picking on from who.
Yep.
But when you just dealing with like one specific person, whether it be a tennis coach, a boxing coach, you know where they got that. I know where you got it, and I know how to break it from you.
Well, the cool part is, I mean, I get to see the whole school. So like, there's 300 students. So like, I get like, we do like 3-week rotations. So like, I'll get like, and that's where I'll see like, and somebody told me this, like some marketer was like, if you just hit 10%, Colin, that's what we're told in marketing. Right. If you just hit your 10%, like, you're good. I'm like, oh my God, that's
so wait,
kids.
Just quick question. So you said it was karate, or I'm sorry, martial arts, tennis, and soccer. So when you say you do a 3-month rotation,
or three, like, so every week I get different students.
Okay. So does every student have to participate in each sport?
Dude, in my class, all you have to do is check in with a thumbs up, decompress, which is just like fucking free time for 10 minutes, and then warm up, which is just like, hey, right. I just want to see you skip. I want to see you gallop. I just want to see you, like, we'll do just trying to work. And then I'm like, all right, let's get to maybe tennis. You know,
but do they rotate though? Do those same kids that you coach that week go to karate or then to soccer?
Yeah, the next week.
See, I think that's genius. Because remember, we talked about that in schools, and I said they need to bring more physical sports into schools, whether it be karate, boxing. It ain't even about teammates. You want the kid to know what they're capable of.
No, but I'm talking about like co-teachers. Like
you're talking about your teammates, basically, the other teachers.
Man, it's
okay.
This is where I'm in it, and I'm thinking like I haven't gotten it. Like I graduated college late 2017 in kinesiology, so not even with a teaching degree. But I found this charter school like during COVID, which was a blessing in disguise.
Right.
I didn't think I was qualified to teach. Like I was so self-conscious about teaching that I didn't realize like how good I was until I went to the school, and I'm like, all right, guys, like we're gonna open up class with how you doing today?
Right.
Like I was just like simple, like, we doing all right today? All right, yeah. You guys want to play some sharks and minnows or something?
But motherfuckers people need that. They need that.
Well, like, and then I'm like, okay, cool. Like year 2, this is gonna be cool because last year, because of COVID, there was only 2 of us because of the small class size. Then we had 3. So I'm like, okay, whatever. Like, the other teachers, dude, it just, what all cliche that you had about your gym teachers growing up, they were the people.
And there you go, Mike. You were talking about your inner right there.
And it's like, no, dude, we're supposed to be better than that. We're supposed to bring these kids in, talk about the lesson for the day, and then like go through like some free time, because guess what? They're in school for 9 hours because we're at a fucking charter school. And guess what? These kids are going home and they're going to an apartment. They're not going out and playing sports.
Right.
So they need to be exposed to sports. Like, you can still do tennis. I've done tennis while also having football. Now, have I gotten in trouble for it? Yeah, I'll take it because the kids are benefiting for it. And I can spin it. It's something because I'm a football coach. There's hand-eye coordination in football and in tennis.
All right.
Certain, like, it's these teachers live in these fear. Not all of them, because classroom teachers are awesome. Classroom teachers, man, that's who I lean on. I'm like, you're doing this for this day? Like, we've been having ABC day for the last like 26 days of school. And I'm like, I'm loving it. But my other like co-teacher's like, this is kind of like, what are we doing here? Like, dude, like, I'm like, let's get in on this. Like, and I'm like, why are
you? That's not my job to teach them ABCs. It's tennis.
And like,
so we do both. Pat me on the back.
Worst, man, the worst is in soccer. What happens, Reggie, when the ball goes out on the sideline? What do? You
chase after it, you throw it in.
Yeah, you throw it in, right? Dude, these kids had no idea what to do. And I was like, what? Because their soccer coach went on vacation during like the biggest tournament, like in our school. Like, these kids goes on 3 field trips every year, and all it is like soccer tournament, tennis tournament, and like martial arts tournament. Awesome. So during the end of this year, this guy's like, I can't go. I'm like, so I'm going because I'm the only one that's coached soccer. Like, I go to proof game. I've coached kids, and I'm like looking at this guy who like is literally rolling the ball out and just like timing is like next 4 play soccer. I'm like, you're not even teaching them how to fucking pass. Like, these kids are so bad. So I just like crap. Like, so I get real personal because I've been putting up with this shit for this whole year, guys. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, this is really fucking raw right here. I got investigated twice for racism because we do this thing that's called Practice Academy, which is you march the halls. And I don't fucking do that. And one day I was just having a bad day and I marched them outside, right? And then all of a sudden I get this bad rap because I'm just like, man, dude, like, because I didn't do it last year. I didn't have to do it last year. This year,
well,
because
how does that equate to the racism though?
I don't know, man. I don't fucking know. I don't get it. There's also another instance where I kept getting this girl's name wrong. Last year she went by one name, and this year she went by her like nationality name.
Right.
And I confused her with another girl's nationality name that left.
Right.
And I kept calling, and I just was like, oh. And so I went back to the name I called her last year. And then she got really upset, and she came up to me after class like, "You need to leave the school." And I was like, "Oh, dang!" Like,
that's tough shit right there. And I can only imagine, based off the sports that you teach, what kind of school you teach at. but yeah, I don't understand the marching outside thing.
So like the whole, like, I don't get it either. I'm not a big fan of it. So I've never done it. That's why these kids are like in counter shock, where the other two teachers, they find it as like a time waster. They'll just do it. Like, yeah. I'm like, no, what? I'm like, these kids are excited to come to PE. How dare they?
That's what's really getting me, is the marching as a whole. Like that he stopped the march early, and that's racism, and you're making these kids march around the school. Dude, unless it's military shit.
Dude, that's why unfortunately, this other guy and I don't get along, because he's ex-military. I don't know a military guy, an ex-military and I that get along. I'm sorry.
Don't speak too personal, though.
Yeah. I know.
Don't speak too personal. But regardless of the fact, see, now I have questions, but I can't. All right. So, because it's a reveal.
Here's what I'm gonna do, though. I'm gonna pivot us off of the school and the job talk, because I know how much Cliff loves it. And Colin, when you hit me up earlier in the week, you had like 3 topics you wanted to talk about. Yeah. I want to kind of pivot into those topics. So the first one was the what was it? The minority mindset, or the is that what it was? It was something to
being in the minority mindset.
Yeah.
What's that? Explain.
So, like, how do you know that you're, like, what I'm saying right now, these other 2 guys are like, or, you know, for example, I'm the one being blackballed for doing something I know that is right, but everybody says I'm wrong, and everybody's just kind of like, wait, or like, for example, I'm moving to California. Why doesn't more people like understand that and be like, yo, dude, go do your thing? Where they're just like, dude, what are you doing? Like, running from your problem? Like, no, dude, I want to go see my niece and nephew, live with them. I have the means out there. I can go teach out there. That's what I want to do. But it's like having that, like,
I wouldn't call that a minority mindset. I would call that a defiant mindset, right? Like, you know what's best for you at the end of the day. There's always gonna be, and I'm not calling these people devils, but the devil works through everyone. And there's always gonna be someone that stops you or stands in the way of your goal. You know what you want to do out in California. They don't. That's why they're so shocked at the fact you shouldn't do it.
But that's being the minority mind, right? Like, so I want to be ultra, like, not like, all right, so let's get off. I'm trying to not make it so personal and just try to think of it like as.
And don't get me wrong, I'm not looking at you saying the minority mindset as a minority. That's not what I'm doing. But
it's being in like that small exclusive mindset of like, hey, this is my way of thinking. Like, for example,
it's me in the dating life right now. I'm open about the fact that I'm doing all the shit I'm doing, and not a lot of people are comfortable with that, and that's okay.
That's like, okay. That's way better.
Fuck. It's what I want to do right now.
Like, dude, being transparent. That's something that brutally honest.
Yep.
That's
radical candor mindset. Is the.
Not many people are brutally honest. Not many people are going to be transparent.
I'm following where you're going.
Like, how you doing today? Oh, I'm doing fine, you know. Oh, okay. Like I get why you have to fake it sometimes. I get that fear, but I'm just like, yo, dude, like, how we doing today? Oh, we're like,
Yeah.
I'm doing all right, man. All right. Like, I hate to say I'm that, like, hey, God, like, are you pissed off? Yeah, I'm really irked right now, guys. Like, you know, like, I'll be honest with my people, like, with my players, man. And
Right.
that will cross a divide, man. Every school I've been at, I've either been let go, yeah, or not retained. It's just like, oh, okay, all right.
But at the same time, like, what I have found, especially when dealing with like players on that level, like I was probably more transparent with my players throughout this past season and everything I had going on in my personal life than I probably ever would have been before. And usually, you know, as a coach especially, like you keep up those walls just like as a natural thing because they need to see you as an authority figure, etc. But what I've found is like having that level of transparency or even vulnerability with kids that look up or are looking to you for answers, like you build that trust, and then the next time they have shit going on in their life, they're actually more willing to come to you over that shit. And at the end of the day, that's what it's about for me is like, how can I build relationships with these kids so that they know I care about them and they know that if they have something that they need or something they need to talk about, like I'm there for them.
Or what you said that stood out to me is, or more willing to deal with it honestly.
Yeah.
Because when you have an authority figure that's willing to show their vulnerabilities, then you trust yours.
Right.
I'm not abnormal for having these. My authority figure expressed this as well. I can work through it like he works through it or she works through it.
Yep.
But the issue, like you said, is once again, it rounds back to they don't pay you enough to feel. You feel because you're a genuine person is what I'm getting from you.
Well, not only that, I also think it comes with my subject. I don't think every teacher can do my job. I really feel PE is a huge part of a school system and needs to be there. It's a building community because of the things that I said with the games, with the way that you structure class, with how much freedom you have. Like
I agree.
Today at St. Charles, it was circus day. Do you know how much anxiety that is for like a parent to let your kid just walk the street? like as a teacher too, I'm like, oh my God, we're gonna let these hooligans kind of like walk the streets after I know what they do in the hallways, and like, oh my gosh, like how goofy these guys are. Like one of them might even get hit by a car today. We'll see. And you're like, but that's the whole trust with fitness. And that's where you build that. And that's where you need that in school. And that's where so minority mindset is kind of like having that way of thinking too, is PE needs to be just up there with math, if not like it's math and then maybe science, because PE is just a simple version of biology. Like, because that's all that PE is, just like a dumb version of biology.
I agree with that as well. Yeah. I agree with that as well. That I've never heard that before, and I agree with that 100%.
No, because building healthy habits and that kind of shit, and finding something that you can continue doing after high school or after college, if you're a college athlete, like that shit matters. Because guess what? It's real easy to get fat and lazy.
Hey, guess what? We're all gonna get old. Have we ever learned how to walk? No. Coach K can teach you how to walk. Heel to toe, dude. It's all about heel to toe. And you learn this stuff like through grind and passion. Like, dude, like that's my thing. Is like, that's why I tell these kids everlasting fitness, dude. I'm teaching you stuff like the most, I don't know this for a fact. Again, I'm not a biologist. I don't have a master's. But I feel like your hips are one of the most important part of your body.
They really are, though, and they're the first thing to go.
Yeah, they are, and you're like, okay, why aren't we working these more? Also, we're like so to go on the like, I think we need a whole PE revolution. I think every school needs to have, again, like you said, 3 PE teachers, but all for actually do their job, but it comes down to money. Okay, so that, and then also just being that transparent being
Right.
that Ted Laszlo, man. He's been an awesome show of mine, man. He's been
You just
a
have to
football
think,
coach coaching soccer, man. I mean, that's a dream of mine, man.
you have to think of how many kids, like, think about it. If you went through school and hated it, you were blessed. Because as many kids that went through school and hated going to school, that was a lot of kids' safe havens.
Yeah.
That was a lot of kids' best parts of their day.
Oh, I see it, man. You see it now when they don't want to go home from school.
Right.
Terrible. They won't leave our hallways.
I mean, we see that.
They won't leave.
We see
That's
that
tough.
we see that where I coach too. Like, those kids will stick around after practice because they don't want to go home.
Yeah, that's tough.
And that's been the case at the last two. I mean, both of the last 2 schools I was at. Like, they stick around because they don't want to go back. And I think it's good to be able to give kids that safe space to just be, right? Like,
Right.
Yeah.
not have to worry about
exactly
the troubles of the world or whatever else.
Right. But listen, I mean, that I don't know.
We're in the minority, or else we would be doing this in schools. We would be doing this as a society, but we're not.
Now that I agree with. I don't mean to cut you off, but that I agree 1,000%. That's the minority mind. That you just said it right there. Now I get it.
Like, dude,
thoroughly.
like, to go off your point of voting, Reggie, I'm starting to think our vote doesn't matter anymore. And somebody told me this working for Parks and Rec, and it was like, vote with your dollars.
Yeah.
So wherever you go, invest with your dollars, and you're like, oh my gosh, yeah. So I'm gonna invest in local donations and stuff like that. Or not donations, but you know what I'm saying? Like,
No, I follow.
But like, that's where I'm like, holy moly, because dude, I went out to California over the winter, and my buddy just started hitting me hard about, like, we shouldn't be paying for water anymore, Colin. I'm like, what are you talking about? That's crazy talk. He's like, no, dude, like, the reason why we had to pay water in the beginning was for the infrastructure.
Right.
Oh, California doesn't even get their water from California. We get it from out of state. Why are we paying so much money? And everything just flows. He's like, we have so much water in the world.
They dig them pipes up and cut them in half, and you see, but they ain't keeping them up anyway. So it's like, what the fuck? You should be discounting our water because we can't even drink it.
It's ridiculous, man. And like,
It's a national,
whatever. I can't say
national,
natural resource.
Natural. There we go.
Yeah. And that's what's super frustrating, man. It's like, I didn't know that. I just was like, man, I'm just going to pay my tax dollars, be a good American, you know? And my buddy's like, don't you want to know where your tax dollars go? He's like, and this is where it gets in like the minority mindset even more. It's like, how can we be Catholic or Christian and pay these taxes that go directly to like defenses? Like 70% or 60% of our taxes go to our defenses. And yet Christianity is all about not war and peace.
Well, see, that's the thing though. The Christianity, and don't get me wrong, I'm a Christian, but that was also the conquer as well. You know what I'm saying? That Roman Catholic, that whole revolution is how everybody became Christian. And you have Christians in every country of the world. So they did a good job at what they did. They just didn't succeed all the way.
Yeah.
Now, if everyone was Christian, then what you were saying would be true. But because their God is blasphemous to ours, we feel okay with building our defenses against them.
Okay.
Because they don't believe in the same God. You notice who they go after.
Yeah, that's weird.
You notice that.
Yeah.
But how many names does God have? Doesn't it say in the Bible that he goes by many names?
Yeah. It's nuts.
But because you're not Jesus and God, of course I'm going to get these nukes set up because I don't know what your God says to do when we threaten you.
It's nuts,
Because
man.
we're the threatened. We're the threat.
But everybody's supposed to be all about, like, isn't religion supposed to be all about, like, peace and harmony and speak, like, you know, like
all constructs,
love for your fellow
man. I'm not
man.
saying all constructs, because I'm definitely one that I will say I've seen with my own eyes that there is a power that be. There is something above us, is what I can say for the people that don't believe. I'll say that I've seen that with my own eyes. And not seen with my own eyes, but seen happenings. But I do believe that at the same time, the way they push religion, it's more of a construct than a belief.
It is. I mean, I've definitely not been. I don't know. I'm not. I mean, I pray, but I'm not much of a going to church guy because, I mean, it's just tough for me to go around certain people.
I hear you on that, and I think for me, when I think about kind of organized religion in general, I think if you look 15, 20 years ago, it was different. It was as much as it was about kind of the organized structure of religion, it was also about the community.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where organized religion can still work and still bring folks together, is that like sense of community. And the churches that I see that like I have respect for are ones that foster that community. But the problem is, and Cliff, I know you've preached this before, like pastor driving the Benz ain't going to do it for me.
Not when somebody's starving right next door.
Right.
Yeah.
Right next door to your mega church, it's somebody living in squalor, and meanwhile you're flying out to a different state to preach.
Right.
I don't agree with all that, and I don't care how much good that people say that spreads. There's just as many churches are on the corners of black neighborhoods as liquor stores. And I've never seen a liquor store owner fly out to make their money.
No.
You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I've never seen them fly out to go somewhere else to pick up liquor to bring back to. You're going to find a man who preaches there as well. So really what you're doing is you're stepping on toes.
Right.
I'm going to fly out to where you're making your money, and I'm going to take your money by preaching because my name's on the side of this jet and on TV.
Yep.
I just don't agree with it.
Well,
don't agree with it.
Even if it's not that situation, like I see it in the. I'll pick on the Catholic schools. I'll pick on the Catholic churches. Like you see the money that changes hands in those places too. Like when it becomes more about funding, it becomes more about raising money than doing good. Like
what was it? What was it that burnt down? What was it that burnt down that them motherfuckers was donating millions for? It wasn't the Notre Dame.
Oh yeah, no, the Notre Dame Cathedral in France.
Is that what it was?
I think so.
Motherfuckers was donating. It was either there or something in Italy, but they was donating like a motherfucker. Quick, come out my pockets.
Right.
You was having $1 million donations and shit. Like people were looking like $1 million donations.
Right.
And you don't even live there? Man. Meanwhile, motherfuckers is struggling. And teachers ain't making shit.
No.
Amen, man. But and then I mean, yeah, that's pretty much the gist of it, man. Just being super transparent and just real, man. It's so hard to even like in normal conversation, man. People always want to throw out how big their dick is, man, and I'm sick of it. I'm sick of I don't give a fuck how much you make, bro.
Right.
I really don't. I don't give a fuck what you're driving. Nice. Good for you, man. If we talk about cars, yeah, that's something that you can bring up when we talk about cars. But don't just bring it up like out of fucking nowhere. I mean, I'm talking about this.
I know what you mean.
Like it just, it's so weird. Then my IDOT, I was so, not me, like personally, but I just thought the world in general is just a little bit more positive. And then I start getting around. Maybe it was COVID or something, or me just kind of like growing
COVID
up.
changed a lot of people.
It did.
COVID changed the sway of our socioeconomic balance. It definitely did. It played a part in it, if at the very least.
No,
Like, it's nuts on Cliff on how many truck drivers have talked down to me about how much money I don't make. And I'm just like, hey man, you're important too. I love you. Like I don't want to be a truck driver. It's not teaching is what I want to do. Here's why. Oh, but dude, I make like 3 times as much as you. All right, man. Like, yeah.
And you don't want to stoop down to where they're at and be like, well, your insecurity lies with the fact that your girlfriend's phone number is written on the very bathroom that you buy your hot dogs, sir.
Dude, it's so nuts. It's just like, so I'm over at this place. I'm not gonna mention. I frequent that, and so I'm out with my cousin. He just moved here from California, and we're out there. And
he's going
this
the
guy
wrong way.
again, kind of like just shooting the shit with me, and he's like, "Hey man, can you give me a ride?" I was like, "Whoa, dude, what are you talking about, man?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm in from out of town, and what's going on?" And I live on the east side, and he's like, "I hear there's a casino." I'm like, "Yeah, dude, that's about like 10, 15 minutes away, dude, maybe 20, like, you know, like." He's like, oh, okay. Can you take me there? I was like, no, dude, I just met you, and you like started touching my face when you started entering and like my cousin kind of had to like, I'm not again, I'm not an aggressive guy, but I kept looking at this dude. I was like, dude, I'm done talking to you. I had to say that. I was like, dude, I'm just done.
Listen, if somebody touches your face, listen, you got 2 touches before I start getting like
that's what
like
the bartender
defensive.
said.
But you touch my face, that counts for your 2 right there.
You're skipping
I was
steps.
just like, man,
You're going for my vitals at this point. So
my cousin's younger than me. He's like, just calm down, dude. I'm like, man, fuck this, man.
Listen, he got one more time to stroke my beard before I stroke his ass across this bar.
Oh man, and so yeah, man, that's what I'm talking. I just don't realize how many. And then like, dude, I'm out like, and I'm talking to this one girl, right? And I'm having a good time. I'm thinking she's feeling up on me, which I've dated this girl who was on this thing called Seeking Arrangements, which is all about finding sugar daddies.
Sugar daddies, right? Yeah.
And like going on dates for money. And this girl is just like looking at me. She's looking at this other dude and just sizing us up. And I'm thinking, and she starts moving closer to me. So I'm like feeling myself. I'm like, all right, I got something going. Like, it's like the dude across from her did the worst thing. She's like, do you have a wig on right now? And she's like, what did you just say? And I'm like, oh God, yeah, dude, that is not a wig at all. And she's like, thank you for noticing. I'm like, yeah. And you know, so like I thought she was actually like feeling up on me, but she's like going like everything that I was saying, she was kind of like shrugging off and just like saying how like, yeah, you know, I don't understand why some of these parents bring these kids into these bars. And I was like, yeah, I don't know either. You know, I'm just trying to like, you know, at this point, I'm just trying to maybe get laid or something. I'm like, yeah, I don't know, like, yeah, how shameful. I'm a teacher or whatever. And she's like, nah, like not getting that part. You know, I'm trying to like throw that out there.
Right.
I'm a nice
I don't
guy,
make that kind of money.
Fast forward, she was wearing a wig.
And then she goes like, she keeps like, she pulls me and she's like, hey, she keeps sipping on the same drink. And I'm not trying to spend a lot. I just want to have like 2 or 3 beers. I'm already on my 2nd beer. So I'm like, you know what? I'll have one. And you know what? I was like, do you want a beer? And that's kind of how like she fucking trapped me, or like how an hour just at the bar turns into like 3-hour long like sob story with this girl like ending like, have you had anybody die? Like your best friends die? And I was like, wow, that turned quickly. Like,
boy, that escalated quickly.
Like
Rick
yeah,
killed a guy.
yeah. What they die from? Did they ever die from a drug overdose? I'm like, well, who wants to know? But yeah, I mean, you know, oh, what drug? I was like, well, you know, if you had to know, like the devil's dandruff, you know. She goes, oh yeah, that is a rich person's drug. You know, have you ever seen someone OD off of crack? her hair? And I was like, no, and nor do I want to. And she's like, starts like crying in front of me. I'm like, this isn't gonna last. And I'm like, all right, I gotta get out of here. She goes, hey, last thing, can I get a room? And I was like, oh, you want to get a room with me? I was like, all right, let's do this. And she's like,
listen, you're a teacher. Don't ignore the red flag.
And then she's like, no, just a room for me. I just met you tonight. I was like, no, I don't have that type of money. What did you? No, I go, I'm walking.
Did you not hear me lead off with?
And I was just like, I'm in walking distance. She goes, you're walking? I was like, yeah, I'm being safe tonight. I don't know what you're doing, but I'm walking back to my place. She did not like that.
Oh, man.
I was like, what is this? Why are these women out here trying to trap people in the simple rooms? I don't have $90 to put you in the La Quinta over here, all right?
Listen.
Oh.
I thought you paid 90 at the La Quinta, but if they paying 90 at the La Quinta, that bitch better come with a bath that got jets in it. That's right.
Oh man. But yeah, you're just like, wow, there are these people out here. I'm like, Jesus, man, I've been living under a fucking rock or something.
That's why you teaching, so the next generation doesn't have to deal with them. Because goodness, I wish our teachers was good in the 80s and I didn't have to deal with. And we a little quicker on the draw than a lot of these new cats. That's all I'm saying. This new cat wave is something completely new.
These kids though, man, they're too much, man. It's just because of they're just parents, you know. They're parents like my age, man. You know, 31-year-old people who are still doing the same stuff I'm doing in college, man. Like, you know, not saying I haven't grown, but I just know that I don't want kids right now.
But that some of that goes back to what I said earlier, which is when you're younger, you think the adults either have it figured out or you're the complete opposite and you're like, adults don't know shit. What you realize as you get older is like everybody's just doing their best, man. Like at the end of the day, everybody's just trying to live their life in a way that makes sense to them. And there is no like universal path. There is no, you know, it is somebody that grew up and watched multiple marriages fail in front of him. Like, am I shocked that mine did? No. But at the same time, like, do I realize that, like, I'm happier and they were probably happier when they split too? Like, yeah, absolutely. And at the end of the day, it's like, for me, it's about being a good father. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to fit into the prototype on either side of that equation. And I think that's really what it comes down to.
That's real, like, right there, Reg.
There is no
being
prototype.
Real. Some people aren't willing to own what you just own, man. A lot of people aren't. And I'm sorry, I'm being honest. Not many people are on that. Like, I'm right there with you. I've seen 4 like marriages kind of fucking fail. Both my parents tried remarry.
Yeah.
You know? I'm like, what the fuck? Like, it's like, what the. But at the same time, I'm like, that's realism, man. Like,
it is.
I'm glad that they did that. Why? Because I learned some of the stuff, man. Like, it's pretty cool to find real people. And that's where I'm like, the minority mindset. Even some of my old friends that I thought were in that mindset, I'm just kind of like, wow, they not to like say that they're any lesser than me. I'm not saying that. It's just a different mindset. It's that, hey man, I'm gonna be real with you, man.
There are what I have come to find as I get older is you have people that are going to live their life the way they're going to live their life, and then you have people that are going to try to fit in the box that they were either bred to expect to be in or desire to keep up appearances. And at the end of the day, like, I've tried to live the keep up appearances life. It's not worth it. It's not.
It's not.
Like, well, it's not worth it to you.
Fair.
I mean, it's not worth it to me either. I mean,
well,
you learn from
I
the
learned
best.
from you.
I will not. I refuse to conform but I conform at the same time. But I also feel like King Cobra.
All right, I like
poised
you know what I'm saying?
All right, yeah.
I'll slither around for you. I'll put on a show, but as soon as you let me strike, listen, it's gonna be a problem. And I hope you got somebody that's willing to suck this poison up out of you on deck, because you're out of here, Jack.
Man,
I ain't big enough to strangle. I'm not quite the anaconda to strangle the world, but I will.
I have no problem striking.
You hear what I'm saying?
Man, and like to go off of that, like also I'm all about, maybe this is, I look into everything. So like I'll go down to like your personality type. I'll go down to your horoscope. And a lot of horoscope is bullshit. It is. It's a way for people to like just more information to try to understand somebody. May not be true.
It's a conversation starter.
It's a conversation starter.
I like that too. But it's also your way to try to rationalize with maybe why this person hates you, likes you, or whatnot, right? It's part of your like therapy session. Like, fuck yeah, this guy's a fucking Virgo. That's why I don't get along with that guy. Like, motherfucker, yeah, that's right. Of course, you know. But really, does it really matter? Maybe to you it does.
Right.
Psychologically, it's that placebo effect. But
I wonder. So you just spurned an inadvertent thought for me,
and I'm about to answer it. Go ahead.
Is there some level of biology that plays into like horoscopes and like being born
there
at
is.
A certain time?
And I'm gonna tell
year?
you what it is. The best way I've ever heard it explained is I can't remember how you can look up the video, but it's something with numbers.
Okay.
And basically what they were explaining was look at it as the world planting seeds as those different time frames. If you plant something in August, you may be able to sprout, all these different fruits. But if you plant something in October, it may be a pumpkin or a squash.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So if you plant something in January, it like that's how it made sense to me when it was broken down like that. Like that makes sense. Not so much the names of but the time that I understand what could be sprouted in that.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Like even taking it down to like a societal level or a social level, if you're born in the summer and you spend your first, 3-6 months out like in the world, you're probably going to have a different disposition than somebody that's born in the winter and spends your first 3 to 6 months like indoors and away from people, and like it's interesting. Right. Or you might value like what it takes to provide more if you're born in the winter, or I don't know. It's interesting. Like being born in the summer like is a time of abundance.
Why am I a lime and you're a lemon?
Right. Grapefruit.
Or and you look at it like, so your environment, right? So what were we also trying to as an infant, we are always trying to yell out for what we want. We cry for what we want, what we need. All right. So during the summer, what do we have a lot of abundance of? Heat, right? So again, I don't know if this has anything to do with the horoscope, but I would have to attend a lot of water signs are in the winter, or not in the winter, but in the summer, because I'm a fire sign. I was born in December. And that, to go off your point, Reg, is that being born indoors, you probably have to be a little bit more like outgoing and like because you have to make your own fun. Like,
or you're weird. Or you're weird.
Yeah. Yeah. Or
I don't want to say that because what's weird
that's a good
anymore?
Thing. To me, weird is a compliment.
Right.
To me, weird is like, okay, this guy's unique. This person is like, oh, all right. Strange is a negative comment. When you say I'm strange, I'm like, oh.
Weird has less negative connotation for you. Eccentric.
Yeah.
Eccentric.
Yeah.
So all the ladies out there use weird on Colin's dating profile because strange to get you.
It says weird
X'd out of there.
Weird as fuck, dude. Nah.
Well, that could be a good night.
Right?
Hey, man. I'm not here for I'm not here for a long time. I'm here for a good time.
About to get weird AF. Where you about to get weird AF at?
Speaking of which, I got a person who wants to message me. I'm like, whoa, what is this person doing? Oh my god.
It's always exciting, isn't it? Isn't it? It's like 9 times out of 10 you get the like and you're like, nope. But every once in a while, you get that
I'll send a
swipe
casual wave. Like, oh, how you doing?
My favorite to use on the apps, like especially if I'm not all in based on like the profile or whatever, I'll send the Obi-Wan dropping in and go, hello there, just to see what response I get. If they respond in kind with another meme, I'm in.
Yeah.
For the audio listeners, I'm turning my face in disgust. Exactly how the woman does when they leave you on red.
It can't be as,
Can't win them all.
I got a bunch of.
All of that might work. I'm sure you got a target.
Have you guys ever been asked the peanut butter and jelly sandwich question?
No. What's the peanut butter and jelly sandwich question?
How do you make your peanut butter and jelly sandwiches?
You put one topping on one bread. You put one topping on the other bread.
With the peas.
What do you use, dude? You never had. So there's a whole science behind this. Is what again, a whole therapy session real quick. What I use, I like to toast my bread. I like to use onion bread. All right. I'm a big fan of grape jelly. But I'm a 2-to-1 peanut butter to grape jelly guy. I love peanut butter.
You like more peanut butter than jelly.
Yeah. And then,
I like it equal.
So I'll
jelly.
And you know what? I'll even take I don't even cut mine. I just like eating it. Like some people will cut it in sailboats or squares.
So if I'm giving you my peanut butter and jelly, and this is the first time I even got my dad hip to this when I was a child, and he started making his peanut butter and jelly the same way. I toast the outside bread. I take the inside bread and I put a light coat of margarine on both sides. And then I put jelly on one side and then peanut butter on the other and put it all together.
I've heard that before and I've yet to do that.
Man, I'm telling you, that's something.
Dude, that is the something. Butter, dude. It's that margarine.
But nowadays, I don't. I try to stay away from,
I try to not indulge.
I'm getting old. I'm gonna be 36 coming up.
Meanwhile,
I gotta stay away.
Meanwhile, the only way I eat a peanut butter and jelly sandwich these days is to take it out of the freezer and take it out of the wrapper.
I know that's right. Uncrustable joints, bang bangs.
Frozen Uncrustables.
But I like the crust though.
Oh man,
I'm one of them like the crust kids.
Man, you could just they don't have enough bread for me. I really like a good.
I know what you're saying.
I don't disagree with you on that.
I grew up poor, so we ate peanut butter and jelly sandwich for like a month straight. And all I had to do was change up the bread. It was
the best was when you got down to the last pieces that nobody wanted, and you could make a peanut butter and jelly burger, and the whole crust was over the whole on both sides. Man, that's the best peanut butter and jelly. We put a margarine piece of bread in between that. Now, how could you start? You would be a boss, a billionaire, if you could start a company where you only use ends of bread on the.
You take all the end caps. We only use
the ends around here.
You take all of the end caps
off
all the loaves.
We donate the loaves. We only use the ends for our peanut butter and jelly. That's like a Gucci jelly right there. Stop playing.
Game over.
Write it down.
I like my guy Colin though. Colin Calterneck. You're not the one that kneeled, were you? I'm just playing.
Not that guy. Even though everybody called me that.
I'm just playing.
Hey
Oh,
Cliff,
funny,
you want a fun game afterwards? Make Siri say his name.
It's still a joke. It's still. They can't say it correctly.
That one got him flustered. I'm gonna have to do it.
Because I tell you what,
do it on the show.
No,
though.
you shouldn't. But I will tell you that it has a real problem with the back half of his name in Kaltnecker.
I don't think I like your mustache anymore.
This is the real reason.
The kids can't say it, so they just call me Coach K.
I know that's right. You look like you look like with that mustache that your family either assisted or snitched on that railroad. What is it? He either said, come on down and I got you, or they over here, boss. That's one of the two.
The real gangs of Columbus.
Oh,
I get more of a John Brown vibe from you, so I like you. That's all I'll say.
I hear you.
I've been meaning to come on, but man, everybody's been busy, but like, Jesus, man, this nonstop with the schooling and not only that, man, like, living, man, life,
You
man.
have to. I mean, the
like
only
you
reason,
said, right? What?
The only reason I end up doing a podcast every Friday night is because I have my son and he's asleep.
Listen.
Well, no, it's not even like, dude, it's also like where we talk about like substance and controlling that. That's another thing that COVID went rampage on everybody. Like, I went nuts before Christmas break, man, dude, and I just knew that dry January is like, and I think for June I might do the same just to see if I can do it again.
No,
but
I hear you.
I mean, today, man, I'll tell you what, nothing was more tastier than a nice cold beer.
No.
And that Modelo after 12 hours, it was great. It was awesome.
There you go.
But also, I can't remember the last two things I talked about, or what were the pivot points. I was trying to look that up before I came in, but
I think one with marijuana use in adolescence, and I think we're going to skip that one just to protect the innocent. And then the last topic was
I don't think it should be used as the like. That's my thing. Is like, it's so nuts on how much we expose these kids to that. And
wait a minute.
Like, what?
Well, wait a minute. And I'm sorry, I had to cut off on that one because playing devil's advocate, coming from a country where we had active cocaine and cough syrup, I would imagine that marijuana, when you think about how it helps with seizures and epilepsy, would not be hard to legalize, which leads me to believe that there's also something else going on, of course, at the hands of Big Pharma. But it's like, come on now, those are false equivalents.
All right,
and you have the least illegal.
Let me rephrase it. I don't think smoking is good for kids. Okay.
There we go.
Okay.
There we go. That's a good way to put it.
That's where I am ignorant in that fact. When I think of marijuana, I think of smoking it.
Right.
That's how I do it. And that's ignorant.
Right.
And that's where I need to expand on what you're thinking in that Big Pharma. However, again, I'm more advocate. I don't want maybe adolescents. So that's a good topic. Again, great topic. You just changed my point of view and like made me a little bit more educated in that. It's the smoking, and like I don't get how we can allow these kids to vape either. Yeah. Like I don't get on how we can allow them to vape.
But it's just the new shit. It's just the new shit. Nobody was stopping me from smoking Black and Milds when I was 16, 15. Like, I couldn't buy them, but I could get them. Yeah. That wasn't a problem. Getting them. Even if I had to post up at the corner store and say, buy me a couple Milds, thank you.
THC gummy than a vape pen? You know what I'm saying?
I think it comes down to the evolution of life, right? Like I think even we had certain things that we had to monitor our usage of, and now these kids are going to have to learn with a different variant.
Yeah.
But nothing changes. Nothing changes. You still have the responsibility of learning what you can and can't take.
Don't we know more though? Isn't there more research and science out there?
That's the government. That's your job. I'm the kid. I'm gonna consume.
Right.
Your job is to figure out what's safe for me. I'm gonna consume it regardless of whether I have a license to get or not. I'm just gonna consume.
I get that.
So at that point, you got to look at the powers that be that are like, yeah, that's fine. If it's fine with them, then shit. Hope you don't raise no dumb kid.
Right.
Because that might be a problem. But then again, it might not. Who knows?
Well, and again, like, kids are going to gravitate to the thing that is on the fringe of what they are allowed to have, right?
Right.
And it doesn't matter what it is, and it doesn't matter, like, there will always be something in that regard.
Right.
So.
Right.
And then, Colin, I think the last one as we start to wrap this up was holistic medicine from non-doctors, I think was the other.
Yeah, so, like, I'm big into, like, massage therapy, or, like, I'm big into, like, so maybe this is like a rabbit hole thing, but like Eastern medicine, where you see these just like people on the street that charge you like $2 just for a simple massage, or like a chiropractor or whatnot. Like, you're like, how in the hell are they able to do this? And this person, you know, you see follow-up videos and they're fine. Like, they actually feel great. And yet we have to be here in America, pay like $50 for a simple cupping, or $80, and they're doing it on the side of the road in India for $2. Not saying it's like clean, but like there's also ways, like there's this other person who will just literally like massage you and physically like get your muscles right. And like we don't take care of our feet at all. We don't, and we're on our fucking feet all the time.
Some of that, I think, goes back to the earlier conversation around the further you get away from the natural order of things, the further you get away from like some of that holistic type medicine.
And I agree that's a I'll even say factual. That's a factual statement. But see, here's the thing is that the closer we get to Western civilization, the further we get from that kind of shit.
Yeah.
Because when you think about it, India, like when you think about it, like you're talking Kama Sutras and you're talking bending your bodies, all that comes with massage. You have to be massaged after you do shit like that. So I'm sure they know spots that your master's degree didn't teach you.
Yeah.
So while it is on the side of the road, it may be a better experience than going into this person's office who faked like they knew what they was talking about.
Right. It's practical experience, and it's honestly, it is probably something that's handed down like generation to generation versus something that's been commoditized and put into textbooks and shit like that.
Have you ever heard of Dr. Sebi, Colin?
No, but I would love to. There's this
look into Dr. Sebi. He's the only person that he got sued by the CIA. Well, the government, but the CIA, because he claimed that he healed a person from HIV, and they couldn't prove him wrong, so he got off on that. And then there's a conspiracy that the CIA took him out later. He has 2 books on holistic living and health shit.
Yeah. And the whole medicine thing too. You watch these shows that they go to, like, or I'm watching Vice. That's a perfect example where they go to like these different places where they'll like try these different medicines that they legitimately like say that heals them, and it does.
Big
like,
Pharma's a motherfucker is all I will say. It's Big Pharma is
you're absolutely right. You've been on this tangent before. I fucking love it. It's scary. It's scary. I have 2 nurses and a doctor in my family, and I'm like, Jesus, guys, like.
Well, and it comes down to like, that is a person by person thing as well. Like, and being in the healthcare industry,
so is Big Pharma, is it not? You can give them a pill, and that'll make somebody go psychotic, and the same pill will help somebody else.
True.
It's
and
no
I think
different.
That is the whole we don't understand enough.
Right.
And it comes back to human arrogance, and it comes back to like things we've talked about on this show in the past around we think we know better than we actually do.
Right.
And that's not to say that like we haven't come a long way, because we have. And there are drugs that are curing things that were once incurable. No.
I agree with that as well. But to Colin's point, I do think
that's not the only answer.
The reason we strayed from is because a dollar amount could be made.
Right.
Before we could go in our backyard and grow it ourselves. Yeah. As long as we knew that ingredient or that recipe.
Yeah.
We could grow it in our backyards and mix it ourselves.
They don't want us to be self-sufficient anymore.
I agree.
They don't. And that was terrible to hear. And it made me super paranoid when I heard that. But it's true, because aloe vera, like you're saying, is a simple plant that we can grow in our backyard.
And just
they charge an easy, boom. But they charge an arm and you're like, wow, that's an easy $4. At the store, you're like, whoa, okay, but I can just go out there. Or herbal tea.
It grows fast.
Yeah.
You can have it in a week. You could have aloe to break off. Your print may be premature, but you can still break it off and use it within a week.
That's the whole thing with like with potatoes, lettuce. Like, there are all sorts of fruits and vegetables that we could be relatively self-sustaining on pretty quickly. And I think I brought this up at one point, like, find me the apartment building that has the rooftop, basically hydroponics.
You know what's sad about it is that's the easiest way to do it nowadays, because they're starting to monitor you the same way you can't dig in your property because the power lines that go to other people's property. I can't put a garden there.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Well, why not?
Yeah.
Why can't I?
Weird.
It's easier to get a garden, like you said, on a rooftop because you're not affecting
anything else. Yeah.
Shit's crazy. That's what I'm saying. Like, and it's only gonna get crazier.
No, and that's what's real. And it comes back to like the holistic medicine too, of like the mind, of like letting your mind be accepting somebody into your body, right? So like that in itself is very vulnerable. That in ourselves, like we're very tight beings. We're very like fight or flight. Like I heard this from a football coach. If you crowd somebody, they're going to do two things. They're either going to back the fuck off or they're going to
defend themselves. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And like, I'm like, okay, so what's the holistic mindset behind that? Why are we triggered? Remember, we're supposed to be peaceful beings. We're supposed to be nice.
Well, different people for different things, right? Different people for different things. And traumas are genetic.
But would you rather have that, I mean, and this is not, again, this is a hypothetical, which people would disagree with me.
Right.
Would you rather take a pill and
no.
for 4 hours? Or have somebody invasively massage you and you'd be cured? Some people don't, like you're saying, some people don't like that invasiveness though. Right. And that's what's concerning me. I'm like, no, dude, I want to make you feel good. Like,
right. You don't need this to feel that way.
Yeah.
Right.
This is going to hurt. Like I see everybody, dude, some like will just grind out a sprained ankle. And I'm like, oh, dude, here in the States, it's just like, here's a pill, here, we'll wrap it up for you. Right. It's like, this dude's actually like trying to like get it.
You know what tripped me out is, like, you know, Mike, I played a flag football every Sunday. somebody, it was a bad hit. I don't know how he hurt his like ankle lower calf. And the fact that everybody there knew what to do with it immediately. You know what I mean? Like bend the toe, like flex your toe, bend it down, it almost seemed instinctual, right? Like we've taken our the pills and shit have taken our mind from our instinctual fix this for you.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Like, oh my God, we gotta get this dude to the hospital too. No, dude, we got this. Like, you just have to put this back.
He walked off. Dude walked off, and it was a hard hit, but nothing was broken, and you just seen how everybody like instinctually. You know what to do. Yeah, that shit's weird. I don't even know. It's weird that I say it's weird nowadays. To you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That you see that nowadays. I haven't seen that since elementary school.
Yeah.
And it was a coach that did it.
The kids are so raw. They'll fix stuff right then and there. And it's like, whoa, dude, how'd you just do that? Like we could have just.
And then what you was saying, you just gotta let shit happen. Doesn't matter what the new vices or fears are. You have to let shit happen. Certain ones will fall to the top, certain will rise, and certain
will rise to the top.
Just like the what's the name?
Macho Man?
The people that live in like the Antarctic and all that. They said they let their kids play next to mountains. I'm not about to get you.
Right.
I'm not about to save you. Either you're smart enough to know not to fall over or you fall over. But I'm not about to save you from it. And that's essentially the world we live in now. You got to let your kid live. Either you're going to fall over or you're not. But I can't be with you all day to stop you from falling over the edge.
Yeah. And I think that's actually a great place to wrap it up. Can't let them.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a great place, but
I thought it was good.
Wrap up nonetheless.
I did not plan on staying on for more than, honestly, I was just going to talk about teaching, but that kind of went off.
That's how it happens, though, my G. All I can say to you is keep hang
in there,
doing what you do because you care. Keep journaling clearly because it seems like it helps you.
Yeah.
Because you have to keep fighting. We don't have a choice.
Yeah.
We don't have a choice.
Nah. Well, like at the end of the day, just trying to find more like-minded people, man, and that's
right.
Where, minority mindset, and that's where therapy helps with that because those people are normally that's why they do it.
Right.
You know, that's another thing. They have the big enough. It's nuts to think about how much they have to take on.
I understand 1,000% what you mean now by minority mindset. I understand 1,000% what you're saying.
All right, I'm going to bed because I gotta get up and do some more yard work tomorrow. Thanks for having me on, guys. This is freaking sweet. You guys are amazing.
Appreciate it, Colin.
Keep watching.
Anytime.
You guys are dope.
Love y'all.
Go Bucks.
What you got?
Go Bucks.
Go
Here we
Bucks,
go. I got Johnny Utah, baby. Some Point Break. Yeah, I hate that they made a remake, dude. The remake was so bad. What's up with Hollywood? These damn remakes, man.
Listen,
also,
he's
I gotta
taking
put
it
a
first.
plug in. My brother just came out with a new Boss Baby series came out on Netflix, and my nephew's in it. His name's like JJ.
Okay. What's that on? Where can we find that?
Netflix. It's just like the Boss Baby. I think it's like episode 2 or 3, and like so yeah. And then he also is working on Dota.
Okay.
Like,
yeah.
So he's in that. Like he hopped on. I think midway through season 1, he got season 2, and then he's doing a lot of stuff with Amazon.
I want to catch up to what y'all talking about. I'm gonna have to get back and let you know what I think.
Voltron, man. If you really want to start somewhere, I'll tell you what, man. Voltron. That's what his big project was.
Okay.
He worked on Legend of Korra.
Yeah.
He's a big guy, man.
That's awesome.
All right, y'all. I'm tired. Sorry.
All right, you're good, Kay. Have a good one,
Be
Cole.
safe.
I will.
All right, Cliff. You got anything to take us out?
Shit, I mean, love everybody.
Love everybody. Take care of
You
your
never
teachers.
know when you meet a motherfucker that cares.
Right.
And them motherfuckers is few and far between nowadays. So love everybody.
And with that, do us a favor, like, share, subscribe, all that stuff. Show us a little love. Find us at Foolproof Net on all major social media outlets. Check out the both of the podcasts, Hit the Showers and Do Fools Agree on Apple Podcasts, Google, all that. And we'll see what's going on with Mind and Body Understanding. I got to get together with Jeff. But
okay. That openings. I like openings.
There you go. All right. Peace out, fools. Appreciate it.
All right.